Beyond the Code. What is it and how does it tie into Explode the Code? Stay tuned to find out. Beyond the Code is a reading comprehension curriculum that is an extension of Explode the Code. Explode the Code is a phonics curriculum that I've been using that I actually did a review of last year, so go ahead and check that out. So Beyond the Code kind of does what its name implies, so it goes beyond what you learned in Explode the Code. So if Explode the Code is teaching phonics, Beyond the Code is going further. It's teaching reading comprehension and reasoning skills, and it does so in the same way that Explode the Code teaches phonics in a really simple, straightforward way. Beyond the Code does the same thing, but for these a little more advanced concepts. You might be wondering, so is my child ready for Beyond the Code? Like, they've done a certain amount of books of Explode the Code. Would this be a good fit for them? Well, for my own personal experience, my oldest daughter just finished book 3 of Explode the Code, and she seems really at the right age and level to be able to move on to Beyond the Code. So that's what we've done, and it's been working out great. This is something that you may want to assess yourself, though, because you might want to stay through book 4 of Explode the Code before you move into Beyond the Code. There's no real tried and true method or hard and fast rules for when to move on, so it's just kind of up to you when you think your child is ready for Beyond the Code. So the way Beyond the Code works, which is kind of different from Explode the Code, is very story-based. So there are exercises leading up to the little passage that you read for the story, or passages if the story is broken up into multiple, and then your child reads the passage, and then you move on to reactions to what the passage was about or what happened in it. Speaking of these stories and passages, how about I just do a flip through for you so you kind of see what's inside books 1 and 2 of Beyond the Code. So here is Beyond the Code book 1. This is not written in so that you can get kind of a really clear idea of what is in here. So it doesn't even start out with table of contents, really. I mean, not in the sense that you can kind of tell what your child will be learning specifically from it. So that's what makes it a little tricky to know if your child is ready for it. But this is how I know. This is the first exercise. I mean, it starts out really simple. And you'll see here, it's preparing them for a certain passage. And then here is the passage. Really short and simple. And I'm really, I think it starts out easy to kind of build your child's confidence. So that's this first passage. And then after the passage, you answer questions and react. And like I said, the passages get longer, but you can break it up into bits. So your child doesn't have to read it all in one sitting. So then they react to what happened. There are some pages like this where children actually get to write their own answers, which is exciting, and I think that's really fun. So these are just some examples of what you could find in Beyond the Code, book 1. And now I'm going to move on to Beyond the Code, book 2. Here's book 2 of Beyond the Code. Again, this one is not written in, so you can get a clear idea of what is in it. This actually starts with review of Beyond the Code, book 1. So that's kind of nice, especially if you took a break in between the two books. So now it gets into the passages, and in book 2, the passages are much longer. And I wouldn't even call them passages anymore, they're kind of just like entire stories. But I think it's a great way to get kids reading. I think it might be a little less intimidating than like picking up an entire book, because that could be a little scary for some kids who are early readers. So yeah, just, continuing on with the same sort of idea here, preparing for the story, reading the story, and then reacting to the story. And of course, it always has fun illustrations. So that is a sample of what you would see in Beyond the Code, book 2. So my final thoughts on Beyond the Code are that this is a really great curriculum. It's really easy to use, just like Explode the Code. Explode the Code is one of my favorite things because my kids can just open it and go. Same with Beyond the Code. I could say, hey, do this page, and my daughter will know exactly how to do it. And also for me, I just love that it's a great extension of Explode the Code because I love it so much and I wanted to continue with something like it, but it was just getting a little bit monotonous. So I think moving older kids into Beyond the Code still teaches those concepts that Explode the Code would, but it's just a new thing for them to kind of chew on and learn from. Another thing about this that's really, really cool is that Reading comprehension is in standardized testing. So if your children are participating in standardized testing, this is really, really great practice for them. And it does mirror a lot of what kids will see in those standardized tests. So if you want to just have your kids do some really easy, affordable practice in this kind of realm, then I highly suggest Beyond the Code. All in all, I just love this whole curriculum series. I'm excited to do more of these Beyond the Code books. I think my daughter is just gonna fly through them because I think she is just really enjoying it and will just do great with it. So I highly suggest it for you if you just want to incorporate something as far as reading comprehension, because other than Beyond the Code, I don't really know of a ton of other curriculums that are strictly comprehension based. And so I just love how focused it is, and it's something that I know I really want my kids to be good at. And also it's kind of like secret reading practice. So if you want your kids to just be reading more, then I highly suggest just having them do these workbooks, and they will be reading whether they know it or not. Do you have any questions on either Explode the Code or Beyond the Code? Let me know in the comments below and I'm happy to help. And don't forget to like and subscribe to see more videos just like this one. See you next time!